Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of God is Calling You to Homeschool. Now what? First, let me just say, I know this episode is a couple of days later than it should be scheduled, but guess what? Life. I am learning how to create a very loose to-do list. And by very loose, I mean I have to do these things, but sometimes I have to push things off to another day because my capacity is not always where I need it to be to match the amount of things that I have on my list. This week, we are in full blown summer break mode, and I have been everywhere. For like the last week, we've been all over the place, all the activities, all the play dates. It's been fun, but it's also been very exhausting. And I've also been working on a lot behind the scenes for our mom group, as well as our local homeschool group, and preparing for field day, which is exactly at 30 days from the days that this is being recorded. So, guys, my bad, but this is a little late. But the funny thing is, this actually goes into, well, a little bit about what we talked about in today's episode. We talked about Proverbs 31 and 14. And in this verse, we learn that the Proverbs 31 woman, she gets her food for her family from faraway places, which means she does her research. She goes above and beyond. She does what needs to be done to make sure that her family is good. And I feel like that is what mom life is about, especially when you are homeschooling. We are going to research the heck out of a curriculum. We are going to dig deep into a co-op. We are going to do everything that we can possibly do to make sure we are giving our kids our absolute best, right? So I want to say kudos to you, Mom, for, in that aspect at least, working and being an amazing Proverbs 31 woman in that aspect. Like I said, I am trying to get my thoughts together, and I'm sharing all of this because I want to be real with you all. I want you to see and understand that when you are saying yes to your calling, when you are saying yes to the things that God is telling you to do, it does not always look pretty. You don't always get things recorded when you want to get them recorded. Sometimes you're recording them in the wee hours of the morning. I'm not going to tell y'all what time because I'm going to get in trouble. But let's just say I couldn't sleep and I've been knocking stuff out in the peace and the stillness of the wee hours of the morning. Okay. But I am glad that we are finally here. I'm glad that I'm finally getting caught up on some things because, like I said, we've been everywhere. We went to a community, I don't even know what it was technically called, but at one of our local libraries, they had a whole thing the other day. They had characters, so my son was in the best of mood and has been thanking me ever since because he got to see Spider-Man in person and Ghost Spider and what was the other? Captain America. They saw animal after animal. They played. They did a lot. And then we did the kids free bowling another day. We visited another library another day um, for a homeschool curriculum swap. We have been everywhere and it's been fun. It has been fun yet exhausting. But I'm glad to be starting off the summer with them and pouring into the things that they love to do, doing the research, even though it feels like I don't necessarily have the quote unquote time to do it, but doing the research to find these different things and leaning into my village and receiving when they share things with me and fitting it into my schedule because that's what we are doing this for, right? We're doing this to make sure that our kids feel supported, they have community, and that they get to do the things they want to do also. It's not just about work. My kids still do work throughout the summer. We still review every day, but I want them to have fun too. I want to cultivate their interest in the things that they love to do. Okay, I'm not going to talk much longer because I really, really want us to dig into this recap of the Proverbs 31 woman, verse 14. Let's get into it.
Good morning. Y'all are like ready today, okay? I love that. Like y'all are eager, which is good because we got some stuff to talk about. All right, let me go ahead and pray. Lord, we come before you, God. We thank you for this day. We thank you for just bringing us together, God. Thank you for the obedience and the willingness for us to go ahead and study this passage of scripture. And Lord, as always, we ask that you are with us in this conversation. You point out the things that you want us to know and to improve on. And you just continue to do a work in us so that we can go out and share the gospel and do what it is that you want us to do and to be a light in this world. And we thank you for everything that you are about to do and for everything that you've already done. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so we are looking at Proverbs 31 and 14 today. And before we get started, I just want to say this, when I read this verse the first time, right? And I was going through and trying to figure out what God was trying to show me and what he wanted me to share. And to be honest, I was like, okay. Like I had a couple of points. And by a couple, I mean 3. And I didn't know what to say. So I left it alone. I moved on the next day to the other verses. And it wasn't until I looked back at this page this morning that God started to show me more stuff. So I said all that to say what we are about to talk about is very fresh. I never have any control over the conversation, but I definitely don't have any control today. And it just kind of ties in so perfectly with what we've already been talking about, with what I've been sharing in the group. So I am excited to get started. So Proverbs 31 and 14 says, "She is like the merchant ships, bringing her food from afar." Again, she is like the merchant ships, bringing her food from afar. So the King James Version almost to a T says the exact same thing. So I didn't even bother like rewriting it because there wasn't anything that like the KJV version versus the NIV version had differently. But the Amplified version does break it down a little bit more. It says, "She is like the merchant ships, abounding with treasure. She brings her household food from far away." So I'm like, what is a merchant ship? Just to kind of bring a little bit more context, a merchant ship is a vessel that transports cargo or passengers for profit. So I feel like we could take this verse quite a few ways. If she is like the merchant ship, is she the vessel? Is she, looking for food in other towns, other countries, other cities, whatever? What exactly is she doing in this verse? So what stood out to me is that she looks for the best for her family and she does not settle for convenience. Now, in this particular verse, it seems like she's referring to food, right? So if she's not settling for convenience, that kind of steps on our toes a little bit because our entire society is centered around convenience, especially when it comes to food. Right. Right. Especially when it comes to food. So for me, because my mama taught me how to cook, right? My mom taught me how to cook. Do I like to cook? No. Can I cook? Yes. But for me, it's always like, it feels like an inconvenience, right? If I'm in the middle of doing something, or if I could just pick up something, order something, have it delivered, have it pre-made. I say all the time, I wish I was rich enough to just have somebody else meal prep for me. It can be the healthiest stuff, but pick somebody else to do it, right? But this verse literally talks about how she is the one that is not settling for convenience and she is looking for the best for her family. My current conviction is getting back to scratch cooking. Yes. I make a lot. I won't even say a lot. I make some things from scratch. I have, this is a sidebar, but I joke with Aaliyah all the time about how I refuse to be a typical homeschool mom. And typical meaning so many different things. But I'm fighting against, I don't want to be like making bread and doing all of these things that I was 100% convicted for, refusing to do from this verse. And we're going to get a little bit more into why that's a conviction for me as we keep like talking, just because I feel like there is a stigma with, your bread looks amazing. Like every time you send me a picture, it's further conviction. And not to like be like, oh my God, I'm going to start making bread tomorrow. But it definitely is hitting something in me, because we got to do better. We got to do better. And y'all know I can cook. Once I get started, I'm fine. It's the action of like starting that I never feel like doing. However, using the meal planner that I created for you guys has been helpful because I don't have to then think about what we're making. If I already know what we're going to make, and then I've been getting the kids more involved and they love cooking, that does make it a little better. I'm trying to get back to sourdough, but artisan is just easier for me. Yeah, see, I have not made either, so I don't know which one is easier. It's easier. But you guys are encouraging me to do a lot better. Germany with the garden, the whole garden. You're encouraging me to do better. I don't have space for a garden. We're on the 3rd floor of our apartment building. But I may just be like hanging out at Germany's house all summer. Because we gotta do better. Okay, let me stay focused. It's almost like she is the provider also for her home. So, we always talk about how like the man is the provider and he is the one bringing home the bacon, and he is the one bringing home the money, especially when you're a stay-at-home mom. But what stood out to me in this verse is she is also a provider. She's providing the best for her family. We saw in the verse yesterday how she's providing the clothing. She's making sure that they have the best material for the seasons that they are in. And now she's going out and she's making sure that they have the best for what they're eating. She is ensuring that her family is provided for inside and out. This also means that she does her research, right? So if she's going afar off, whether this is literal or figurative, she's going far away because maybe those merchants or those people that were around her were not giving their best, or she did not feel like they were good enough for her family. So that just makes me think about us doing our research when we're going to the grocery store. She goes the extra mile. Exactly. Do we know where the food is coming from? Do we know where, like, literally anything is coming from? Or are we just picking things because it's closer, because it's convenient, because it's easier for us, right? Yeah. So from there, it got a little intense because at that point, we've been talking for 10 minutes? I had nothing else. I had nothing else to say because I was just like, okay, she goes the extra mile. She makes sure her family has good food. Okay, we got to do better with the food. Cool. But when I looked at it, like I said this morning, I'm like, God, what else is there? Is that it? Because if that's it, that's cool. But like, I feel like there's something else. So, of course, what does all of this mean for us? And how can we improve in this area? And when I started to think about that, it took me to the video that I sent you guys last night. And if you didn't get a chance to watch it yet, I'm just going to try to summarize. So for one, CeCe Winans' show, Generations on YouTube, is really dope. And one thing I don't like doing is watching videos that just tell us that we're all eating trash and we're about to be bunny rabbits and just eat grass all the time. Like, I can't stand videos like that. But yesterday, like, it kept catching my eye every time I would go on YouTube. And yesterday I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and try to watch it. It's CeCe. Like, so whoever she's about to be talking to has to be like vetted. She has to be like, know what she's talking about. And at minimum, she has to like believe in God. So this woman has to say something that is going to like be useful to my life right now. And especially as I'm on this journey of like trying to do better self-care wise, and it just it does not only include makeup. Like, I'm tired of being tired, guys. I'm tired of not feeling that great. I'm tired of the migraines. I'm tired of a lot. So it was the perfect time to, tap into this video. So she talks a lot about nutrition. She talks a lot about the sugar that we're intaking and not even realizing how bad it is for our family and for our bodies. So that has me shift the trend again. Yes. So it was a lot. I don't want to like give it away because I do want you guys to watch it, but there were a lot of moments where I was just like glued to the TV because I'm like, we got to do better. And not just in a sense of like, oh, just throw away everything that's bad for you today and only eat like fruits and vegetables. Like, yes, that was a big part of what she was saying, to clean out our systems. But it's not about like trying to be perfect immediately. It's more about like the progress of it. So our food choices, our exercise, y'all all up in my convos with guys. Our food choices and our exercise routines and everything else, we got to do better. Like, that's what God was showing me from this verse, is we have to do better and making it fun. So now we're about to tie this into like homeschooling. We are all homeschooling. We all have these kids. And I think that when people are trying to do better with their health journey, they kind of leave out the rest of the family if it's some like uncharted territory. But what I've noticed is the more informed my kids are, the more willing they are to do things. They may love chips, right? They may love juice and all of the other things, but we are actually working on learning about the nutrition facts and the food pyramid. We made a food pyramid. I put one on a poster board, like the whole triangle thing, and had them look through magazines to find different things that belonged in each category. So doing little like projects like that seems to be helpful in getting them to understand why we may be making some adjustments in our eating habits. Letting them help me cook has been amazing too. Like, we're at the point now where for some things I can say, as long as I double check that the stove is turned on correctly and turned off correctly, Lyric is okay. And I love that, not just because of her independence, but I am training her to know how to cook, and same with Cadence and same with JR. But as we are implementing these changes, we can also include our kids, and so that it won't feel so much like a burden and like we're just telling them, no, 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 you can't have these things. We are educating them, right? Because that's another reason why we are homeschooling, and we are trying to teach them things that they don't get taught in public school. I mean, yeah, they told us about the food pyramid, but how many times has that pyramid changed? How many times have they adjusted things? Or they went to the farm, but like they didn't get a chance to actually talk to the farmer or do a deep dive into understanding why these things are growing in the ground, or why this is a fruit and why this is a vegetable. And, there's so many additional things that we can teach them as homeschool moms. And it just ties into us doing better all around. The kids eat so many more vegetables since I let them help grow them with me and pick out what we grow. Exactly. Like, they're invested. The same way that we need ammunition to do things, like, they're kids, so they need it also. So just informing them. Lyric actually read the back of a bag of chips the other day. She got some salt and vinegar chips, which that is, out of all the chip flavors, that's probably my least favorite. Because it just sounds bad, right? We're okay with like the plain chips and the sun chips and things like that because it doesn't sound as bad. Salt and vinegar sounds bad, right? But we're learning about the nutrition facts, and she turned it over and was like, Mom, did you know that like vinegar is not even in here? So that, of course, leads to us digging into what exactly is vinegar. It's a bunch of acid. It's literally a bunch of acids. So then it's like, okay, well, which acids? And are they actually matching up to the nutrition facts? And just explaining all of this stuff to them makes them a lot more curious and interested than we think. You can start a garden in your apartment. That's cool. Okay, yeah, we might have to. No. I'm not saying we can't eat or use vinegar. I'm just saying the salt and vinegar chips, there is no ingredient that says vinegar. It said this acid and that acid, I don't even remember. But yeah, yeah, exactly. It's acid and salt, which is wild, right? Um, so some of the things that like I do also want to talk about with them is how, according to the FDA, this has no sugar. Okay. But it has artificial sugar. What is artificial sugar? Now let's look into that. What does artificial sugar do to your body compared to like regular sugar? What is white sugar compared to brown sugar? The lessons are endless, right? I want to go to a couple of the food warehouses. I know that like Utz has a factory nearby. I think it's in PA. So like places like that, I want us to go to also, one, because I think it's cool to see how they make them, but um seeing how stuff is made also helps you to understand whether we should eat it, right? Yes, the FDA is over food. The Food and Drug Administration are working together. It's crazy. And in the video, one of the things she talked about is to steer away from things that we probably shouldn't eat, focus on the foods that God made versus the lab experiments. I don't remember all of the foods that she listed, but the fruits, the vegetables, the beans, the things like that. And then when you steer from that, now we're into lab experiments. And I was just like, wow. And then the more lab experiments that we eat, then like you said, they're like, oh my God, here's a drug for this. You can't sleep. Here's this. You can't do that. Here's that. Your stomach hurts. Here's this. Yeah. Getting back to eating whole foods. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So God isn't expecting immediate perfection in this area. Thank God. Because this is going to take me a minute. But instead, he wants progress. And this is also why I felt like having the space called The Gathering in this community was important, because this is another space that we need support in. There's oftentimes we're not going to feel like cooking. Or like Aaliyah did the other day and said, hey, I got this chicken, y'all. I don't know what to do with it. Or I need some suggestions because I'm tired of making it the same way. And we come together and we figure it out. Because when you are depending on your own strength to do things like this, it does not last. You know, we do all of these fasts and diets and exercise routines, and it lasts a week, maybe two, and then we're over it if you don't have the appropriate support. So whenever you feel like you need some extra help, I may actually also implement a live here and there, like, hey, we're about to cook dinner, get on. I don't care. We don't even have to really talk. Just the accountability of, no, we're making dinner tonight, or no, we're gonna sit here, we're gonna meal prep and or plan our meals, not necessarily meal prep. We're gonna sit here at this chart that I made, and you're gonna figure out what you're gonna eat for the week, and you're gonna make sure that you have all of the ingredients so you're not scrambling the day of, right? Yes. So I will be. Yeah, we're gonna do that.
Hey, Mama. Yep, you. The mom on the other end of this recording who has been trying to carry all the things: homeschooling, motherhood, career, business building, your calling, all of it without falling apart. If this is you, then the DFG Mom Collective was created with you in mind. This is more than a community. It's a solution, rooted in faith and built on the truth that mom is the foundation of her home. The Destined for Greatness Mom Collective exists to support and equip you in every season. Whether you're navigating homeschool chaos, craving community, or desperately need someone to remind you that you are called and capable, then this is the space for you. Inside, you'll find faith-led support, practical resources, monthly themes, live sessions, and coaching opportunities that help you live out your Proverbs 31 purpose, but without the pressure to be perfect. And right now, the founding member price is still available. but it won't be for long. Join now to lock in the lowest rate before the doors shift into full launch mode. You'll now hear us call the mom membership the DFG Mom Collective. That DFG stands for Destined for Greatness because we believe every mom is called to raise world changers, build bold legacies, and still steward her own God-given purpose. And not just that, the word membership kind of gives me the vibe of the gym membership that you are paying for every month but don't actually use. We're not just here to inspire you, we're here to equip you. Tap the link in the show notes to join today and finally get the support, the sisterhood, and the structure that you've been praying for. You don't have to do this alone, sis. See you there.
What else? We have to be strong enough. All of this is because we have to be strong enough to fulfill the call that God has given us. So imagine being able to know what your calling is in life. Like, God has told you specifically, I want you to do this. And before you get a chance to really implement what it is that he wants you to do, you start having health scares. Or your body can't sustain the travel if it requires you to travel. Or you're too exhausted and in too much of a brain fog to even think about the things that he needs you to do to implement what he wants you to do. And we don't actually have time for that. Like, realistically, we don't have time for that. So some of the verses that confirms that God really wants us to pay more attention to our bodies is 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. Do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You are bought with a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. We hear that all the time when we're talking about tattoos and piercings and all of that. But it also goes for how we take care of our bodies inside and out. And if you cannot do what God wants you to do if your body is not strong enough to do it, if your mind is not strong enough to do it, because he needs us in tip-top shape. Our world is literally like crumbling. And if we are not ready, not just spiritually, we can read the Bible all day. He needs us spiritually and physically strong. 3 John, which I forgot was even a book. I ain't gonna lie. 3 John, chapter 1, verse 2 says, Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in good health, even as thy soul prospers. So this is one of the last conversations that John is having. And what stood out to me is they've always been talking about the desire to be in good health, right? This is not just a new phenomenon. And I think we have gotten pulled away from it, like we were talking about before, because of the FDA and the ease of our foods and Instacart and DoorDash and all of those things in the microwave. It's just getting worse over time, right? But I don't think that it's even in biblical times. If it was important back then, it should still be important now. So how can we implement this in the natural as well as the spiritual? So back to the verse, she's looking for the best for her family. She's not settling for convenience. She's going the extra mile. How do you think your body would change if we started asking, am I giving myself, my family, and God the best? Every time you decide to eat something, drink something, not exercise or exercise, if while we're doing it, we were like, before I drink this strawberry lemonade, which I love, am I giving myself the best? Am I giving God the best? Because I can be fine drinking it and, moving on with my life. But is that going to hinder what he needed me to do later? Probably. Because now I'm on a sugar high, or now have slowed down my body because it's still processing this multi glasses of sugar that I just consumed. Yeah, I'd feel a whole lot better too. For sure. For sure. So one of the last things that God was showing me is that he's not playing with us. Like, he is not playing with us. I don't think that we are studying this passage. We are in this community together. We have come across each other's paths. None of this is by accident. When he requires more, it's not always in a way that puts us in the spotlight. I've seen quite a few churches or influencers or whatever, they'll especially use that song that we talked about the other day. There is more that I require of thee. And sometimes it's approached in like I'm requiring you to be over such and such amount of people, and I'm requiring you to, be in the spotlight. But I feel like for us, while some of that may be true, he's also calling for us to be doing more in the areas that are contradicting the world. So us figuring out how he wants us to show up in our marriages, in our parenting, in our homes, in our bodies, his way is going to 100% contradict the world, where everything is rushed and easy access and not really depending on God at all. Everything that he is requiring for us is right now goes against the norm. Even something as simple as us not being as showing up as much, I guess I should say, on social media. Although we have businesses, although we have things that we are trying to market, it goes against the norm for us to just be, taking a step back and saying, God, you do it. God, you show me. It goes against the norm, but that is part of what he's requiring from us, because at the end of the day, we have to remember that God is in control. He's in control of our businesses. He's in control of our families. He's in control of everything. And if we do things the way that the world wants us to do them, we are not allowing God to be in control. We are taking control. And his expectations are higher of us because our world is rapidly dying, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Our world is dying. And if he cannot rely on his people, then what are we here for? That is the last thing that I got from out of this. If he cannot rely on his people that he's requiring more for, then why are we here? Because we are in a world right now where our lights need to be shining brighter than ever. And we need the strength, the physical, the spiritual, the mental strength to let our light shine. Yeah, now that's all I got. Any thoughts, comments? It's okay if you're also just processing. Because that took me a minute. I had to sit here for like 10 minutes. Because what I don't want is for God to feel like, well, I don't need you if you're not going to do what I'm asking you to do. Wow. Y'all gotta stop saying that because it's making me cry. I'm joking. Yeah. Yes. Yes. You gotta step all the way up, but back at the same time. Ooh, yeah. He's calling us to step up in areas that don't look like everybody else. And to step back in the areas that do. Yeah. Because the Proverbs 31 woman, she's not basic. She's not basic. And basic meaning she did not do everything the same way that everybody else did, or she wouldn't be the Proverbs 31 woman that we all desire to be like. She had to be unique. She had to be distinct. She had to be set apart. Or else we would not aspire to be anything like her. If she was like everyone else, none of this would exist. So all the times that we have been looking at this passage and felt like she was unreachable, it's not actually true. I think as we're going through, there are characteristics that she has that are very attainable if we are going to God. I'm feeling like that job that told you to focus on your family. God has me doing more with my family than my business, and I see why. Yeah. Now that you say that, I'm gonna have to process that thought. But yeah, and to think that all of this started because a law firm told me to focus on my family. Yeah, yeah, and had me in a very weird space, very dark space, because I felt like, why can't I do my job and make sure my family is okay at the same time? I never came to y'all and complained. This was, by the way, the week of COVID when all the schools started shutting down. So nobody knew what was going on. At that time, COVID was supposed to be a 2-week shutdown and then we all go back to our normal lives. The law firm I was working for at the time let a bunch of us go. But the reason for me was we want to make sure that you can focus on your family, and it tore me up for like 2 years. So the 2 years that I talk about trying to homeschool the kids, trying to navigate us all being home, trying to navigate being pregnant with JR, all of that, plus having a job, basically say I can't do my job because of my family. What? But now I see, wow, not me processing in real time, but thank you for bringing that up because God absolutely used it. Because out of that came faith and beauty. And on top of that, when I left the last paralegal job, God clearly was like, why are you being a paralegal? What are you doing? When I left the last paralegal job, I was fine, y'all, quote unquote, fine. I had my own office. Paralegals don't get their own office. I was in there. I could blast my music if I wanted to. I could listen to podcasts. So there was so many signs that I was not okay, but I felt like I was okay. It was an easy job. Um, and I did start to see that I was missing things here. I was leaving at like 7 in the morning. By the time I got back on the side of town, because I work downtown, by the time I got back to the side of town and picked up JR, I was getting home at like 6:30. I was missing a lot. The girls were in school, they were going through stuff. It was a lot. But I felt like, you know what? I am doing like everybody else. I'm working, I'm trying to help provide for my family. So I'm just gonna have to figure out how to balance it all. And one day, well, there was a couple of other things that led to this day. But one day God was just like, no, you have to leave because I need you to focus on your family. Again, that it never dawned on me that I was told twice to focus on my family until now. God said, focus on your family and your business, because what I'm about to do through your business, you're not going to have time for if you are at this job. Introducing what we're doing right now. So I said all that to say, I don't know what, because I am like processing in real time, but there's so much in this passage. There are so many things that we are going to pull out, and there's no mistake that we are doing this together. No mistake. Like, I cannot wait to see how much better our bodies, our families, our businesses are from what we are doing together. Like, I can't wait. So yeah, focusing on our families. It's so funny because I'm like, well, God, you told me to focus on my family and my business. And then you turn around and tell me to homeschool. The math ain't mathing. The calendar, the time is not matching. But I see that all things work together, right? I'm excited yet nervous. Yeah. Okay, what part are you nervous about though? Are you nervous? Well, I'm not gonna put words in your mouth. What part are you nervous about? Is math the different type of math? It ain't girl math, that's for sure. It's God math. Woo! It can feel like a lot since it's so countercultural. Yeah, I agree. I do agree. I think that is one of my biggest struggles in all of this. It's that what God is calling me to do does not look like anything else. And it's scary. It's scary to be out on the island by yourself. It is. However, we are not alone. And it also points to the importance of community. God did not call us to do this alone. I think I actually put that on the website. God is calling you to homeschool, but he never said you had to do it alone. God is calling you to be a wife, but he never said that you had to do it alone. God is calling you to run a business, but he never said you had to do it alone. And the amazing part of us being in a community together is we support each other in all of those aspects. It bothers me when, I guess bothers me because I was supposed to do something about it, but it bothers me when people only focus on the part of mom that is homeschooling. Like, yeah, she's homeschooling, but what happens the rest of the day? You told her what curriculum to pick, but now what?
Girl, this conversation was so good that I almost didn't want to come back in and start talking again, because I feel like there were so many gems, so many points that were made in this conversation, and I didn't really want to distract you from being in a moment of processing. But I had to end the episode. We talked for a good 15 more minutes, but I ended it where I ended it because I wanted you to think about what area God is calling you to be different in. What area is he calling you to show up, and it goes against what society is telling us right now? What area is he requiring more from you in? Is it your health habits? Is it your sleep habits? Is it your time management? Is it accepting community so that you have help with all of this? Whatever it is, after you listen to this episode, take some time to really sit with God and find out how he wants you to go about those changes. Because honestly, I'm going to do the same. Listening back to this conversation was like I hadn't heard it all before and didn't live it in real time. But it was an excellent reminder to me that as I am continuing to be catapulted into like all of these situations and these amazing opportunities, I still have to make sure that I'm good physically, mentally, and spiritually. So the same goes for you. Let's turn a new leaf. Let's make sure we are protecting this temple and continue to do better, right? As you always, make sure you're following the show, leave a review. I may read a review or two at the end of next episode, because I really, really appreciate those of you who have been leaving a review and just sharing what you have gotten out of these episodes. So I will see you all next week. And yeah, just think, what is God requiring from you in this season? See ya.